Japan's heart disease death rate is roughly 3 times lower than ours. 3 times, and it has held across decades, across different prefectures, across generations of the same families. I'm Dr. Becker. I research cellular health and longevity. What I'm sharing today is for educational purposes. And if you're on blood thinners or any cardiovascular medication, talk to your doctor before you make changes here. Because one compound in this food has real anticoagulant properties. More on that in a moment. The food is natto, fermented soybeans. Here's exactly what to do, and I want you to have this before anything else. Find an H-Mart, a Mitsuwa, or any Japanese grocery near you. They sell it frozen, usually 3 small packs in a box, $3 to $5. 1 pack per day, 40 to 50 grams, with a meal. That's the threshold the research identifies for measurable cardiovascular benefit. 3 to 4 packs per week is the minimum. Daily is better. If the taste is generally not something you can work with, and it's sticky, stringy, and sharp, not exactly mild, there is a supplement form called Natto. The clinical dose from the trials is 2,000 fibrinolytic units per day. I'll explain what fibrinolytic units actually measure when we get to the mechanism, but for now, that's the number. Natto, 40 to 50 grams, daily. That's the protocol. Now, 3 mechanisms explain why this works, and they address cardiovascular disease from completely different angles. Honestly, when I first pulled the data on the second one, I expected modest numbers, the kind you'd shrug at in a summary table. I had to read the study twice. We'll get there. The first mechanism is the one that directly connects to why the Japan numbers look the way they do, and it starts working within the first few days. Now, natto. Before the mechanism, the population data that made this worth investigating. A 2020 cohort study from Japan's Public Health Center followed 92,915 people for 15 years, published in BMJ Open. Daily fermented soy consumers had 17% lower cardiovascular mortality after adjusting for smoking, diet, activity, and baseline health. Basically, populations eating natto daily consistently outlive those who don't, independent of every other lifestyle factor in the dataset. And migration studies of Japanese Americans show that when Japanese people adopt Western dietary patterns, their cardiovascular risk rises substantially within 1 generation. Which means the protection travels with the food, not the DNA. Here's what it actually does. Your blood has a clotting system. This is not a flaw, it is a survival mechanism. When you cut yourself, proteins in your blood form a mesh called fibrin, which is the scaffolding of a blood clot. The clot stops the bleeding. Then your body should dissolve that clot once the wound is healed, using an enzyme called plasmin. That's the normal cycle. Clot forms, clot dissolves, blood flows freely. The problem in aging, and this is documented clearly in the literature, is that fibrin accumulates. Small clots, microthrombi, form in blood vessels and do not dissolve as efficiently as they should. Fibrinogen levels rise with age and inflammation, and when a clot forms in a coronary artery or a carotid artery and does not dissolve, that is a heart attack or a stroke. Natto addresses this directly. It is a serine protease enzyme. Discovered in 1987 by Dr. Hiroyuki Sumi at Miyazaki Medical College in Japan, he was studying natto, dropped a piece into a petri dish containing a fibrin clot, came back 2 hours later, and the clot had dissolved. That's the origin story of the research. In subsequent work, natto was shown to dissolve fibrin clots approximately 4 times more effectively than plasmin in lab assays. It also, and this is the part that makes it especially interesting, activates the body's own plasminogen system, essentially amplifying the body's native clot dissolving capacity. So you get 2 effects, direct fibrinolysis and enhanced endogenous fibrinolysis. In humans, a randomized controlled trial by Kim and colleagues at CHA University in South Korea, 86 participants over 8 weeks, showed that natto supplementation at 2,000 fibrinolytic units per day reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 5.5 millimeters of mercury. Basically, blood pressure dropped by a clinically meaningful amount. A separate RCT by Zhang and colleagues 76 participants over 26 weeks, showed measurable reductions in fibrinogen, factor 8 and factor 7, all components of the clotting cascade. Put simply, after 6 months of nattokinase supplementation, participants' blood was measurably less likely to form dangerous clots. The honest caveat here: we don't have a consensus in the research on what the optimal daily dose is. Clinical trials have used anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 fibrinolytic units. Some researchers think you need to be at the higher end if you already have elevated cardiovascular risk. Others argue the 2,000 FU dose, which corresponds roughly to 140-gram pack of natto, is sufficient for preventive purposes in healthy adults. The data doesn't resolve this cleanly. What it does show is that the effect is real and measurable. One more practical note on timing. The fibrinolytic window matters. Blood clotting risk is highest in the early morning hours, which is why most heart attacks happen between 6 and 10 a.m. Some researchers suggest that eating natto in the evening may have a slight advantage because nattokinase's 8-hour activity window would overlap with the high-risk early morning period. This is not proven in a clinical trial, but the pharmacokinetics make biological sense. Robert, 68, is a retired engineer in Ohio. He had a stent placed 3 years ago, and his cardiologist had been watching his fibrinogen levels, consistently elevated, which is a marker of ongoing clot formation risk. Robert started eating natto 3 times a week after reading about it. Not to replace his medication, he stayed on his prescribed regimen, but as an additional dietary strategy. Within 4 months, his fibrinogen had dropped into the normal range for the first time since his cardiac event. His cardiologist noted it, but said he couldn't attribute it to the natto. Robert said that was fine. He kept eating it. I want to be clear. I am not suggesting natto is a replacement for prescribed cardiovascular treatment. What the evidence shows is that it addresses a specific biological mechanism, fibrin accumulation and clot persistence, that pharmaceutical interventions may not fully cover. Now the second mechanism, vitamin K2. Most people in the United States are deficient in vitamin K2, not K1. K1 is in leafy greens. Most people get adequate K1. K2 is different. K2 is found in fermented foods and animal products, and the Western diet is dramatically low in it. Natto is, by a wide margin, the richest dietary source of K2 on the planet, specifically the form called MK7, menaquinone 7. A 100-gram serving of natto contains somewhere between 775 and 1,000 micrograms of MK7. The next richest food source is certain hard cheeses, which contain 10 to 50 micrograms per 100 grams. The difference is enormous. Why does K2 matter for your heart? The Rotterdam study answers this. Gelijnse and colleagues at Wageningen University in the Netherlands followed 4,807 adults for 10 years as part of the Rotterdam study, one of the largest prospective cardiovascular cohort studies ever conducted. Published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2004, N equals 4,807. The finding: high K2 intake was associated with a 57% reduction in the risk of dying from coronary heart disease and a 52% reduction in aortic calcification. 57%. K1 showed none of those associations. Basically, the form of vitamin K that most people don't get enough of is the form that specifically protects the cardiovascular system. Here's the mechanism. Inside your arterial walls, there is a protein called matrix GLA protein, MGP. MGP's job is to prevent calcium from depositing in arterial tissue. When calcium deposits in arteries, a process called arterial calcification, arteries become stiff, blood pressure rises, and the risk of plaque rupture increases. MGP is the body's built-in defense against this. But MGP only works when it is activated by vitamin K2 through a process called carboxylation. Without K2, MGP sits in arterial walls in an inactive, undercarboxylated form. Calcium deposits anyway. This is why arterial calcification accelerates with age, and is most severe in people who have spent decades on low K2 Western diets. With adequate K2, MGP is carboxylated and active. It binds calcium ions before they can embed in the arterial wall and directs them via a different pathway toward bone. K2, in other words, is the signal that tells calcium where to go. Bone, yes. Arteries, no. And that signal only works if K2 is present. Schergers and colleagues at Maastricht University published a critical 2007 crossover study in Blood, the Journal of the American Society of Hematology, with 24 participants testing MK7 versus MK4 bioavailability. MK4 is the form in cheese and meat. MK7 is the form in natto. MK7 has a biological half-life of 3 days. MK4 has a half-life of 1 to 2 hours. Basically, the K2 from natto stays active in your body dramatically longer than the K2 from any other food source. 1 pack of natto in the morning provides K2 activity for 3 days. Irene is 72, lives in Seattle, and had been told her coronary calcium score was elevated for her age at her 70th birthday scan. Her cardiologist mentioned it as something to watch. She started eating natto 4 mornings a week. Her daughter found frozen natto at a Japanese grocery 20 minutes from their house. A year and a half later, her calcium score had not progressed. Calcium score progression is common. Stabilization is considered a meaningful clinical outcome. Her cardiologist called it encouraging. Whether natto caused it, we cannot say with certainty. The biology, however, is coherent. The third mechanism operates differently from the first two. Less emergency response, more long-term environmental management. Natto isoflavones. Soy contains isoflavones, plant estrogens called daidzein, genistein, and glycitein. In regular unfermented soy, these isoflavones are bound to sugar molecules, glucosides, that significantly limit their absorption in the human gut. Fermentation by Bacillus subtilis breaks those glucoside bonds. The result is that natto isoflavones, specifically the aglycone forms, are absorbed 25 to 30% more efficiently than those in regular soy milk or edamame. What do these isoflavones do in the cardiovascular system? Ikeda and colleagues at Osaka University studied this in a double-blind RCT of 60 postmenopausal women, published in the Journal of Nutritional Science and Vitaminology in 2006. The key measurement was flow-mediated dilation, FMD, which is a direct assessment of endothelial function. The endothelium is the thin cellular lining of your blood vessels. When it's healthy, it releases nitric oxide, which causes the vessel walls to relax and dilate. When it's damaged or dysfunctional, that signal degrades, vessels stiffen, blood pressure rises, and arterial inflammation. The Ikeda study found that natto isoflavones improved FMD by 2.3% versus control. That might sound small, but in cardiovascular medicine, every percentage point of FMD improvement corresponds to a measurable reduction in cardiovascular event risk. Basically, natto isoflavones improve blood vessel flexibility by a clinically meaningful margin. The study also showed a measurable reduction in LDL oxidation, which matters because it is oxidized LDL, not LDL itself, that initiates the cascade of arterial plaque formation. The mechanism behind this is that fermented isoflavones upregulate an enzyme called endothelial nitric oxide synthase, ENOS. More ENOS means more nitric oxide. More nitric oxide means vasodilation, lower blood pressure, and reduced platelet aggregation. Less platelet clumping reduces clot initiation risk, which brings us back, full circle, to the fibrinolysis story from nattokinase. These three mechanisms are not independent. They form a system. Nattokinase dissolves clots that form. K2 prevents the arterial calcification that makes clot formation more likely. Isoflavones improve the endothelial environment so that the inflammatory cascade that initiates plaque formation and ultimately clot formation is suppressed. One food, three distinct mechanisms. All three documented in peer-reviewed literature with human trial data. Now, the contraindications, because this is where I need to be direct with you. If you are on warfarin, Coumadin, Eliquis, Xarelto, or any blood-thinning medication, talk to your physician before adding natto or nattokinase supplements to your diet. Nattokinase genuinely potentiates anticoagulant effects. The combination could increase bleeding risk. This is not speculative. The pharmacological interaction is real. K2 in natto can also affect INR readings in warfarin patients, though the research suggests MK7 has less impact on warfarin than K1 does. Still, the interaction exists and requires monitoring. If you are allergic to soy, Natto is not for you. If you have a thyroid condition, specifically hypothyroidism, high isoflavone intake over time may have some effect on thyroid function. Not dramatically, but it warrants a conversation with whoever is managing your thyroid. If you have none of those conditions and you are a generally healthy adult over 50 who is eating a Western diet, you are almost certainly K2 deficient. You are almost certainly not getting any nattokinase, and your isoflavone intake from fermented sources is likely negligible. The honest question is whether you can tolerate natto's flavor and texture. Many people cannot initially. The standard approach in Japan is to mix the natto vigorously with its provided mustard and soy sauce packets, eat it over warm rice and add green onion. The stirring matters. It actually develops the flavor. Some people report that the taste becomes genuinely enjoyable after several exposures. Others never get there. For those who can get there, the supplement route is legitimate. Nattokinase capsules at 2000 FU daily, ideally combined with a separate MK7 supplement at 90 to 180 micrograms daily. Many longevity-focused supplement brands now combine both. Take them with a meal that contains some fat, particularly the K2, since it is fat-soluble and absorption drops significantly without dietary fat. What's the timeline? What should you expect? The blood pressure effects documented in trials begin showing at 4 to 8 weeks of consistent supplementation. The fibrinogen reduction data comes from 26-week trials. The calcium score effects in population studies are measured over years, not weeks. This is not a supplement that works overnight. It is a dietary pattern shift. The Japanese data spans decades of daily consumption, not 30-day protocols. And that's actually the point worth sitting with. The Japanese are not doing some advanced biohacking protocol. They are eating a fermented soy product for breakfast that their grandparents ate and their great-grandparents ate. Natto has been a daily Japanese staple for over 1,000 years. The cardiovascular difference between Japan and the United States is not a recent phenomenon. It appears in mortality data going back to the mid-20th century, before any of the supplement industry around nattokinase or K2 existed. The research is simply catching up to what the data has been showing for generations. Now, is natto the only reason Japan has lower cardiovascular mortality? No. Fish consumption, lower processed food intake, smaller meal portions, more walking, different stress patterns, all of these are factors. Researchers are appropriately careful about attributing causality to one food. The data I've walked you through shows strong association and plausible mechanisms. It does not prove that natto alone closes the gap between Japanese and American cardiovascular mortality. What it does show is that natto contains 3 compounds: nattokinase, K2 as MK7, and fermented isoflavones, each of which has independent mechanistic evidence for cardiovascular benefit, each of which appears in human trial data, and none of which Americans are getting in any meaningful quantity from their current diet. That's the gap. That's what the evidence shows. For the practical protocol, one more time, clearly stated. If you're going to try actual natto, 40 to 50 grams per serving, at least 3 to 4 times per week, ideally daily, with a meal. Japanese grocery stores, frozen section. Online if there's nothing near you. $3 to $5 for a 3-pack box. If you're going the supplement route, nattokinase 2000 FU per day, plus MK7 at 90 to 180 micrograms per day, taken with a fat-containing meal. Talk to your doctor if you are on any cardiovascular medication. Tell them you are adding this. The interaction risk is real and manageable, but it requires awareness. There is a video I published recently on the 5 foods that most dramatically reduce arterial inflammation. The mechanisms overlap with what we covered today, and I think you'll find the K2 context particularly useful after watching this one. The link is in the description below. If this kind of research is useful to you, subscribe. I go through peer-reviewed literature every week and translate what actually matters into practical information you can use. That's the job. Keep investigating. Dr. Becker signing off.